welcome to Minute of the Apes, the podcast where we break down every damn dirty minute of the Planet of the Apes movie. I'm your host, Sean, and joining me as always is my co-host, Todd. You there, Todd?
Yeah, check 1, 2, 3. Yes, I'm here.
Sibilance, check one. All right, good. Real quick, we're going to take a second to thank the Star Wars Minute movie guys, Pete and Alex, for inviting us to the Movie Minute family. We really appreciate it. We're going to start minute 36 with a child being carried through the greenery and ends with an ape photographer saying smile. And as of minute 36, to do a quick recap, we've got 2 living humans, maybe 2 dead. We know one's definitely dead, but maybe another one's dead. A shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humanoids. Are we finally going to start this one, Todd?
You know, I think we are, and we're going to pull back the curtain to say that we're now probably on take. We're pushing 15 or trying to make this work. We're bringing in our first guest today who we'll intro in just a few minutes. But if we sound different, it's simply this. We use a piece of software, and I will not mention the name because I won't put them down. That software uses another piece of software, which I will mention, Skype, and that would not work today. We've tried and tried and tried. We've had
an hour trying to do stuff.
Yeah, and to the point where we're all a little bit slap happy. The great thing is, and I'm going to do my intro of my friend Jeff now, and this is a friend of Sean's too. We go way back. We all worked together. I think I can say where we worked, right? We worked at Yahoo for years and years together. Jeff and I have stayed good friends. He hosts a podcast called, oh my God, Talk Radio. You know, Jeff, you're going to slap me, but there for a second because of all this, my brain wouldn't latch onto it. But he allows me to come on and be a co-host with him, talk movies, pop culture, whatnot. Jeff is stepping forward today to let us use his audio setup that he actually uses for that podcast. So in a moment, you're going to hear Jeff, and he's going to sound this big, lush tones coming out of his mouth.
Voice, yeah.
And while Sean and I sound like we're on dial-up phones, but it is what it is. Jeff, say hi to the masses that listen to Minute of the Apes.
Hello.
So we have to say right away the last thing, and we all are on the brink of breaking down because this has been so arduous that we've decided to do this where Jeff dials in, Jeff gets me on the line, dials a number, and that's the voice we heard, which was they called him back actually, and it was this hello. And apparently Jeff had dialed the wrong number instead of Sean's number. So again, forgive us as we get into this. We're going to talk about apes. We're going to talk about cranky, cantankerous astronauts, dead astronauts, all of it. But my God, what an episode to get going. Jeff, thank you so much for helping us out.
And thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you for letting me be on. I'm excited and ready to participate.
So one of the things, and I said this to Jeff in the minutes before we began this hour-long process of trying to start, Sean, was he's going to hear some references because at this point we're recording this. This is probably the last batch of episodes we're going to record before we start releasing them to the public. So Jeff's going to hear some references potentially to things throughout this week that he doesn't know, but I know this about Jeff. Yeah, and I know this about Jeff. Jeff can hang with all that, and if he doesn't, he'll probably just microphone drop on us and call us a couple of bitches and walk away.
Never.
He'll just stop the recording, and then they're just screwed for the week.
Exactly. All right, so let's jump in. Let's jump into the minute. Let's talk Planet of the Apes. Let's not talk production. Let's not talk anything else. You know, this shot, this scene, this minute. My God, I can't even get my mind going. This minute begins with, to me, what's a beautifully eerie but somehow serene image of an ape carrying a child on its shoulder, emerging through this cornfield.
That kid's having fun riding there.
It's what?
I was going, that kid's having fun riding on the shoulders for a second until he sees everybody sprung up.
Yes, he does go from the point when it's, oh, hey, I'm hanging out on a gorilla's shoulder, to, oh, look at the dead humans. And then he acts like the worst brat in the whole world. You know, every parent in the world's had their kid that wants down, but Jesus Christ, the kid, he goes from docile to bitch in no time.
And they're not pulling any punches. I mean, they have people strung up for being dressed like they're going to dress a piece of meat. They're not messing around now.
But at the same time, you've got hanging humans, you got lying humans, and them in the lying humans, I'm assuming they're dead, or is that lying, whichever it is. I'm assuming they're dead, but but there's a child that all of a sudden decides to squirm. Is he supposed to be dead and he forgot to act dead?
I don't know. I don't think so. I just think that they were carrying him along to throw him in the cages with the other people, and he didn't realize that he was in trouble until he saw Mom and Dad strung up as meat.
So Jeff, I'm curious from this standpoint. You're jumping into this, watching something minute by minute. You can either tell me at this point, how's it feel to watch a movie minute by minute, or what are you noticing when you jump? You've seen these movies before, correct?
I have never seen this movie.
Oh my God!
Which is why.
Hey, welcome to my club.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pumped about that. I like it. It takes me longer to explain to other people what exactly it is that you guys are doing, which I believe is genius. And then as far as pertains to this minute, my first note was friendly. Then kid freaks out, because I thought the same thing. The kid looked like he was really digging it. It was almost, if you could put a different soundtrack behind it, it could be a very happy moment, but it turns ugly really quickly.
Does he see Mom and Dad laying on the ground? Is that what it is? Or is he just, like I said, a bitch?
I think he saw one of the assistant directors give him a cue.
And act like a bitch.
We're not paying you if you don't do something.
Right.
Man, so Jeff, there's a moment earlier, we've joked in these films because, as again, you've not seen it, these are astronauts that crash land on a planet. They're called ANSA because we know at the time NASA was just really throttling up. They couldn't get NASA to agree to use it, so they changed it, just that little tweak of ANSA. So these are the budget astronauts. They crash. They don't test the atmosphere. They don't test the water. They're jump in
the cockpit.
Yes, they do. They smoke in the cockpit. There's a moment where they're smoking. So these people, they suck. They eventually go swimming. This is the reason, if you look at our heroes, they basically have shredded clothes on, and the African-American astronaut is wearing essentially what was their dinghy.
Poncho.
He's made a poncho out of their dinghy that they came to land on. So, these are off-kilter humans. These are stupid humans. They also all hate each other. So,
oh yeah, they bitch at each other any chance they can get.
It's and this is, and I don't know how much you looked into this, Jeff, but one of the script revisions, in fact, a few of them were by Rod Serling, so it has a very Twilight Zone aspect to it, where they're setting us up so that we can see something from a different perspective. But part of the reason I mention this is the one shot we get along of Taylor, our hero, Charlton Heston, is he's carried like a pig on a rod. But you mentioned the assistant director off to the side. Did anyone notice the fact that as he's put into the cart, suddenly he's out, he's unconscious, yet when he goes to the cart, he bends his legs so that he doesn't hit his head. He bends his legs to lift himself up.
I also noticed, my second note is that they hit his back when they were lifting him into the cage. You can see they actually hit his back, and I'm surprised he didn't stand up and start yelling at him, because that can't be.
I'm gonna do this joke again.
Right.
You damn dirty apes.
Right.
Well, it does have that moment, and Jeff, when watching these, to me, you'll notice this. There are going to be stretches of these where things will happen and nothing happens. And this is one of those minutes where not a lot happens, and it is a ton of action. This film is very good at giving us action without dialogue, which, as lovers of movies, we know that's actually the best thing you can do. Show me, don't tell me. Yep. For a classic film like this, there's some sloppy-ass direction across the board. Moving on, we've got the apes.
I noticed that
I'm sorry.
I noticed that when they put him in the cage, all the men are tied up with their hands over their head, the female, she's not, and they don't give a shit about him. They just dump him in and say, all right, we're done with you.
Well, that's because he's supposed to be unconscious and he has ketchup on his neck.
Yeah. Well, where is that wound? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking at his neck right now, and I see no wound. I just see the red paint.
I told you before, they're playing paintball with these people.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. So we get the ape that says smile. So it's our first instance of an ape talking. We know that they can actually speak, and they speak English.
Oh, really?
I actually did have a good laugh whenever he said smile. And they're all just mugging at the camera.
Yeah, and it's a clever little thing that, let's play on the human idea that we have to take pictures with our conquest. So it's a fun little twist, but yeah, Jeff, that's
the first time that you hear the apes talk?
Yes.
Oh.
That's the first line.
That's the first non-human speaking.
I feel really honored now. This is cool.
Well, if you would come on, maybe 5 minutes ago, Sean, we still didn't even have apes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It took a half hour to get to anybody else but the astronauts. And then,
Lordy.
5
minutes after that is the first time you see apes.
So the producer of it had this thing where in King Kong doesn't show up until 30 minutes in, and he said it worked for them. Well, he wasn't thinking ahead. He didn't have the foresight to know that three dumbasses would eventually be hosting a podcast where they talked about every minute of the Planet of the Apes. And he should have thought of that, because that was 30 excruciating minutes. I wanted an ape.
That's awesome. I did, my only note I have on that made me giggle, again, coming in completely blind, was he says, smile, and they all go, and I just thought it was funny because, and obviously in the movie setting, I mean, they want to accompany it, but generally, I mean, us speaking for humans, when you're in a group and you say smile, everybody just smiles.
Yeah.
But I giggled at the fact that they were all laughing. Now they were smiling. I did go back and look at the frame, and they are smiling, but they're laughing too, which maybe that's the forward progression. Maybe that's the next step.
Yeah, maybe it is. I do think that, again, I don't want to talk about the limitations of makeup from the 60s, and we all know that this movie was a landmark in makeup, what they did with it. But immediately, I think the laugh may be because you can't technically smile with the makeup, because it is just a prosthetic stuck on your face, and if you smile, you can't turn it upwards. So a laugh exposes teeth, and it says, I'm smiling. So
yes.
Because I liked, if you can hear my dogs outside, they're excited to be around here. The thing that hits me also is the aesthetic of the film. Jeff, I love to mention the actual people that make it. William J., and I may be saying this wrong, Kreber was our art director. He's still alive, according to IMDb, which that's kind of a thing that is an anomaly for this film, Jeff. We noticed it's almost like a death shroud that follows it, that all the people that made this died within a few years of making it.
Oh, within a few years of making it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think many of them only lasted until the mid-'70s, so it was kind of like, oh, Jesus, you don't want to be on this film. But he sporadically worked through 85. He seems to have retired. Primary focus was helping with other Planet of the Apes films, and also had a stint on the TV show Mod Squad. So the man made his imprint on the 70s. That's all I got there, Sean.
Yeah, that's all the notes I have for this minute. How you doing, Jeff?
Anything else?
Good?
The only one I had left was I just noticed that there was the one chick was a super hot chick.
She's super hot, and she's super clean for being the weird hippie commune person living out there that gets tackled and caged by an ape.
I do have notes about that for future minute.
All right. Well, I think that's it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this 8 minute. We want to just go ahead and throw in our obligatory plugs and say go to our website, MotA-Minute.com. If you want to email us, you can email us at podcast@MotA-Minute.com. You can find all our social media stuff. It's all over there on our website. I want to thank Jeff for joining us today. Jeff, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Go ahead and rate, review, subscribe, all that crap. We would appreciate it. So for this minute, I'm Sean and Todd. Thanks for joining me.